Happy Halloween once again, folks, or, the 10th of October, whenever you celebrate your Halloween. And yeah, I didn't get to it Monday, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it today, the Monday one today, and I'm going to pre-record tomorrow's because I got to work from, 10 to 6. But anyway, James Reamer asks, who would win in a fight, Candyman or the Slenderman? Now, besides the fact that they're both something man, I can't necessarily see the correlation between why you really put them against here, besides the fact that there is similarities in how they spread their essence. But we'll see what happens in this. I'll tell you right now, this is a confusing one and kind of a tricky one given their power sets. But the Candyman, now I'm not going to go into the full history of the Candyman. Suffice it to say, and I don't remember his actual character name either before he was the Candyman, but he was a man, I believe he was a slave. If not, he was a man who fell in love with a white woman. And he was tortured, punished, covered in bees, all that. So he became pretty much a vengeful spirit of revenge. And basically, the lore is when you say his name 3 times in the mirror, or I think it's just 3 times in general, he will come and appear and reap vengeance upon whoever it was that called out his name, or whoever he so chooses to reap the vengeance on. Now, personality-wise, he has a severe narcissistic egotistical narcissistic outlook. He is a severe God complex individual. He believes himself omniscient, calls people his congregation, his followers and whatnot. So very possible to, outsmart him or whatever in that sense. However, you're talking about pretty much a nigh immortal spirit. He's pretty much immortal, having lived having existed for hundreds of years without food, air, water. No need for that. Super strength, regenerative capabilities. He's got, when he wears this cloak with a hook with his hook for a hand, and it reveals his mangled rib cage underneath there, infested with bees. He's capable of summoning and controlling massive amounts of bees. Limited levels of telekinesis, levitation abilities, phasing capabilities like that. But what the big thing is, kind of like similar to Freddy, it's all about the fear, knowing him, letting his reputation sink in. If you know of the Candyman or heard the Candyman, he could still exist. That's basically how he rolls. He's also quite merciless, quite brutal, but also eloquent and polite in his speech. So, here's the real kicker. Candyman in this fight is the easy one to talk about. Slenderman takes a bit more of explaining. So the Slenderman technically isn't even a real concept, even in fiction or whatever, or history, or even like any movies or whatever. I don't even think they've actually made legitimate movies about him yet, though I imagine they would at some point. What happened was, I can't remember exactly the way it came, but people were just on those forums where you talk about creepy urban stuff, legends, and making up things like that, people started talking about the Slender Man. Now, and then, people say they've seen photos of him, but a lot of these are just, if not all of these are just, photos people have made online. But essentially, the Slender Man is a humanoid being varying in height, usually around 6 or 7 feet, but he can be like 13 feet high. It said he can alter his size. Who usually wears a suit, facial, and Candyman has invisibility as well, because Slenderman has, selective invisibility. But he has a face with no discernible facial feature, like no eyes, no mouth, nothing like that. It's just this kind of humanoid shaped feature. But the thing about Slenderman is, we don't know what he is. There are prevailing theories about what he is. I believe it's like the give me a sec. What the hell is the name of that damn theory? Look at this. Why don't I just get the actual Slenderman information up so I can not fudge this up? And I'm trying to be a bit more censored these days, just because YouTube is, apparently ad creators are tulpa. That word is a tulpa effect, which is basically saying that the Slender Man is a being created from the collective consciousnesses of everyone who has thought of it. Like, enough people willed this being into existence. So that's one prevailing theory. Another theory is the quantum theory, which states, and I am reading this, a central theory to the explanation of the apparent supernatural nature of the Slenderman, and is a competitor of the core theory and Tulpa theory. Quantum theory is based in around the idea that Slenderman is a physical substratum, not a thoughtful form, which exists and powers are part and related to on physics, or are part relate on physics and understood science. Slender walking can be attributed to both these theories. The explanation seeks a physical explanation, not a pseudoscientific explanation of Slenderman. Essentially, what they're saying is he's kind of like a quantum fourth dimensional being, more or less. Or he's an extraterrestrial of some kind. Yeah, the prevailing theories are he's either something that was brought into being through a collective consciousness of other individuals. He is somehow an extraterrestrial, or he's a quantum fourth dimensional, quasi-dimensional being. Take your pick, folks. Now let's see. Now when we go into he's often basically considered at very best he's considered benign to kids. A lot of prevailing theories, because a lot of the mythos says that children for some reason attract to him, and that secretly he actually yearns for friendship, and children are the only ones that can see him for something other than just horrifying monster. Or others say no one knows what his true motives are, but he is scary. He's horrifying, and he kills people and attacks them. Should also be noted that Candyman does have the ability to just kind of appear in places, because that's similar to what Slenderman can do. One of Slenderman's most infamous abilities is slender walking, an ability of the Slenderman that allows him to appear and disappear at will, granting an omniscience-like movement, allowing him to teleport from one point to another virtually anywhere instantly and without any physical indication of the teleportation. Essentially, they've even said he could be in dozens of places within seconds of each other. And again, the ability is kind of explained by being maybe a fourth dimensional being. The ability of Slenderman to disguise itself is one of the more important traits. The most well-known camouflage is that of the contemporary suit-wearing Slenderman. Basically, he wears a suit to blend in. Right now I'm seeing a bunch of photos that they're showing here. And quite frankly, I can see Slenderman in that. That's not a problem. I can see a Slenderman in that one. Yeah, that one. And then I know where he's supposed to be in there. Where the hell is he supposed to be in here? Oh, there he is. This one I don't. It's just trees. I don't see anything. Oh, well. But anyway, basically, he kind of takes on the form of a higher class member of society. It also should be noted that it seems to be that most people won't notice him unless he lets them do it. He seems to have the ability to cast some sort of illusions, like to have a face while visible to the human eye, not to he can't be captured on film very easily, and he affects electronics around him. He apparently has a lot of mind control abilities, loose definition mind control. Basically, he's inserting fear and psychosis into the individuals. At best, he's somehow able to just draw children to him. He's able to just completely mess up anyone's mentality. It's stated that his fear might have something to do with the substance known as Azoth, which would come out of injured proxies. What the hell is Azoth? Originally known as Slender Sludge, a material used in the Fear mythos and various Slender blogs. The Fear mythos substance left behind, Slenderman. Okay, it's some sort of black tar-like substance. Highly flammable, capable of regenerating itself, and sometimes even explodes. Fascinating. Point being, pretty much he's able to just completely induce fear, psychosis, and just horrify anyone. Impersonations, rarely seen in contemporary mythos. Each mythos accounts for an ability to impersonate or mimic the voice and tone of a person in order to get its victim. So basically, he can, lure you in with like children's giggles or someone you love. Another infamous ability is that the human's-like appearance often discriminates upon the appearance of its tentacle limbs, which appear far less contemporary, mythos, but is capable of turning his fingers and arms into tentacles, and well as spreading tentacles from his back for attacks and things along those lines, allowing him to do wall climbing, attacking individuals. They depict various size and speed things. You can assume they're very powerful. Selective visibility, basically only seen in certain forms. Connection of Slenderman and fire. Almost all variations of fire either are after or during. May be able to use pyrokinesis, which is the ability to move or control fire. Mind, we all understand that. Often the fire kills witnesses or destroys evidence of its existence. Photographs of the fire often show the Slenderman in or around the fire. In some cases, the fire is blue and rare occasions green. It's not known whether fire. So it's possible the Slenderman possesses pyrokinetic abilities. For the sake of offensive abilities, why don't we just give him some minor capabilities like that? Mutilation. Oh, I guess this is going to be good. Because I actually didn't. I clicked just the basic part of his powers. Now that I'm actually seeing all his powers, I'm like, Jesus, he's got quite a few abilities that supposedly he has. Common trait of the Slender Man was that of body mutilation. The common procedure would be discovered of missing persons. Okay, so he's more that he just mutilates individuals. Okay, that's not a freaking power or ability. That's a personality trait. Sickness. It's said that he possibly has contains sigma radiation, which causes individuals to bleed from mouth, nose, eyes, vomit, disorientation, potential blackouts, potential fevers, which appear in the Tribe 12, whatever that is. So he's capable of inducing sickness on individuals. Weather and day control. In many cases in the Slenderman games, he stalks the player in weather or day conditions that cause fear, such as fog, night, rain, or storm. So basically, he seems to be able to have some control over the environment. Telepathy. Presence causes several negative effects on the human mind, including memory loss. So basically, he's able to induce psychosis on individuals. Pain reduction and prolonged death. It's believed the Slenderman can reduce the pain in a human. In the case, it mentions that because the Slenderman, he was still alive, and the type of despite. Okay, so that's weird. Last but not least, Slender Sense. Despite lacking any facial features, he can sense when victims are near at all times, and la 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 la. Okay, now that we went through all of that, and I'm now at the almost 12-minute mark. I just spent all the time doing that. Let's do our best to figure out who wins this fight. So how does this fight? Let's say, let's say in, I don't know, one of the Candyman movies, the Candyman is like Candyman or Candyman, whatever that sounds. But somehow the Slenderman got invented. Now the Slenderman is chasing these individuals, and the Candyman's like, it's like, yes, you've come to your end. All of a sudden, Slenderman suddenly appears behind Candyman, and just Candyman looks at him and is like, what the hell are you? What the hell? And just, he swipes at the Slenderman with his hook arm, but, the Slenderman disappears. Now it reappears behind, like, a couple distance away, and Slenderman's kind of just creaking his head, just looking at the Candyman. It's like, he's interested to see why the Candyman's not as scared of him as everyone else. If anything, not scared at all. The Candyman, though, is also wondering, like, what the hell is this thing? So, fight time. So, while they're clashing, all the folks are going to get out of there. Candyman, he's going to, maybe some telekinetic abilities, throw some shit around. Slenderman just kind of be like, things are going to burst into flames maybe because he's using pyrokinesis. He just looks at this guy, and all of a sudden his tentacles start forming out. Just you hear maybe those like horrible, like inhuman Cthulhu-esque sounds. As the tentacles out, it's like Candyman just like, and he just summons the army of bees, and then they're surrounding the Candyman. But I would imagine, because again, that surrounding the Candyman, surrounding Slenderman too, to attack him. But the problem with the Slenderman is, again, we don't know his true origin. We know he is not of this. We basically know he's not of this world. So he's either, again, we have to go by one of three. Theoretically he's not of this world. If you go by the thought theory, he's theoretically of this world by collective consciousness. But whatever. If you go by that theory, he's technically of this world, but he's not human. If he's an extraterrestrial, he's an alien. If he's a quantum being, a fourth dimensional being, he's something else entirely. So I would imagine that the bees might be like surrounding a circle, because they don't know exactly what the bees, primal instinct as it is, are a little confused. But Slenderman commands them to attack, and Slenderman just bursts them into flames. Now all of a sudden tentacles are coming towards Candyman, and Candyman's just he's disappearing, whoop, back over here now. But Slenderman's just right behind him. It's basically like those scenes you ever see in anime where you get that one character who's really fast, but then he's going against another character who's even faster. And it's like, oh yeah, I like to test that theory, and then he just disappears, and the guy's right behind him. Right? It's like, all the while, Candyman's just trying to disappear. It's like, what? All of a sudden, Slenderman just keeps showing up behind him, just and swipes at him with his hook claw. Yes, Slenderman probably just catches him. And let's be clear, Slenderman, if it can alter his size too, I'm betting, despite the fact he looks frail, theoretically speaking, I'm willing to bet that thing is extremely powerful, physically speaking. So, and Candyman's no slouch. Candyman's well more powerful than your average man, but still, it's and just tosses Candyman against the wall. Candyman, though, has a regenerative capability, so it's not like he's going to be really super hurting. So this is gonna, and then Slenderman might just impale him with his tentacles, throw him around, but they're gonna get up, and even if Candyman slashes Slenderman. Slenderman might actually I imagine it something like similar to if you ever read or watched Bleach. In the Fake Cartoon arc, there was this creature known as, I think, Alon, which was a combination of things. And it was pretty much just this hulking mass of muscle and didn't bother, react to anything. And even when it got, injured, with the moment it realized it was injured, it suddenly just went into a rage. I kind of think like that would happen with Slenderman. That Slenderman, for everything, probably never has really been injured. So, in its existence. So, first time in his life, it's... And all of a sudden, maybe its face breaks apart. You actually see a mouth there, just even like Candyman, just. So now Candyman's seeing this abomination, and now here's the problem. I think the only way they managed to kill Candyman. Well, there's two ways. One, you just destroy the mythos. You make sure no one talks about Candyman as an urban legend. Just make sure someone else, like the way they got rid of him in the final movie, if I remember, was claiming that, no, this guy was claiming he was the Candyman. This killer right here was claiming he was the Candyman. There was no supernatural being the Candyman. And in the second movie, they killed the broken mirror that was a gift from his lover that pretty much contained his essence. So theoretically speaking, but that being said, Candyman in the movie, as far as I know, never went up against an actual supernatural threat on any sort of equal ground or just another supernatural threat. He was the only supernatural threat that existed. So it's hard to say how he would go up against another supernatural being or a being with actual abilities comparable to his. Needless to say, if we have to go by that logic that he's never gone up against someone with similar powers, if someone has abilities that could counter his and maybe even affect him, you'd have to theoretically believe that he could be defeated that way. Now, he's no longer human, but he still theoretically has the mind of a human. He's now got a god complex. But for all intent and purposes, he's still got the mind of human, being not human as is. So things like the stuff that would normally affect human wouldn't affect him in the same way. But I think the sickness and psychosis and the ability to affect people mentally that Slenderman has would start to wear on the Slenderman, particularly because he's not being able to put this thing down. So he's now starting to kind of freak out just a little bit. Just what the hell are you? You think you could stop and kill me? I am vengeance. I am blood and rage. I am God. He brings the hook down, tries to bring the hook down again, but he gets caught in tentacles. And all of a sudden, the Slenderman just got those face and just closes the mouth again. All of a sudden, Candyman just bursts into flames. He's bringing back memories. He can't snuff out the laser because the Slenderman can just continue putting on the fire, and he's just burning. His regeneration can't keep up. Slenderman's starting to crush him in his tentacles, and his strength is. And they both feed off fear, basically. Supposedly for Slenderman, yes, with Candyman. Problem is, I don't think Slenderman has any. Even if Slenderman is hurt, I don't think he has any sort of fear of Candyman. They don't feed off fear, either of these guys, the same way that Freddy or Pennywise does. But they still feed off fear in ways that feeds them, makes them stronger, keeps them alive. So yeah, it's just assuming that a supernatural being could kill Candyman and just outright do that, because he's never gone up against one, we're going to go with that assumption for this fight. I see the winner being Slenderman, because Candyman actually does have a couple defined weaknesses. What the hell? Oh, sorry, that was an ad apping on the Slenderman page, because for some reason the wikis do that. They'll just you ever do that? Have that happen when they just randomly start playing an ad and you're like, what? Yeah, that just happened. So yeah, because Slenderman, for all we know, has no defined weakness, despite the fact he's still probably physical in nature theoretically. So if you were to hit him theoretically, you would hurt him. Again, theoretically. But Candyman does actually, because Candyman's been beaten before, 3 times to be precise. Well, I don't know how he. I can't remember the first Candyman movie. The second one, I know he was the mirror was destroyed, and then the third one, I know they eventually got rid of him completely, kind of like they did in Freddy vs. Jason by basically getting rid of his legend. That's what they did. Um, so yeah, he basically came back somehow through the Day of the Dead, Los Muertos, Los Muertos, I think it's called, Day of the Dead. So yeah, so because Candyman, well, they both have an echelon of abilities that would really kind of weird out the other. Slenderman just has too much not going for him. Obviously, by that I mean there's just not enough concrete information on Slenderman to give him a loss when we don't know if he has any true set of weaknesses. Now, is there any theoretical way that Candyman can win? Well, if we're going on the assumption that Slenderman still is technically a living being, then if he were to put his hook through Slenderman's head, I guess, or something like that, if he were able to get Slenderman like that, then I suppose that would kill him if he were able, because he's got no mouth. He can't shove bees up his down his mouth or up his ass if he doesn't even have an anus, I bet. Yeah, I mean, there's that, and that's assuming he can catch Slenderman, because Slenderman, I mean, we look at Slenderman's ability to just reappear in instances like that, almost omniscience-like. Candyman has a similar ability, but just not on that scale. So yeah, it's not. So he can play that game just as well, if not better, than Candyman can. So Candyman would have a really hard time catching Slenderman. Now, again, taking that hook through the head scenario out of the equation, any other way I think you see Candyman winning? Not really, if I'm going to be honest. I don't see a scenario where Candyman comes out on top. And it's mostly just because of the unknown factors that go into Slenderman. But I'll give this a 95% out of 5% in favor of Slenderman. Slenderman's going to win this 95% of the time. Again, a hook through the head, if we're going by the idea that Slenderman is a physical being with actual mortality, would kill him. And if he could catch the hook, sure. But that's a slim chance, just given the evasion ability of the Slenderman. But hey, let me know if you think different. If you do, that's cool. Trust me, this is all my baseless. It's a similar thing that what happened with the Krillin versus Saitama match, is that we just don't know where the limitation for Saitama lies. So I had to call that match the way I saw it based on that. It's a similar ability. In 1 second, Diamond, when you go outside, can you go outside and make peepees and poopies? Go make peepees and poopies. Yeah, so I gotta call it the same way with the Slenderman Candyman fight, in that we just don't know the actual limitations or full-on abilities or more of the Slenderman. So I gotta call it as I see it based on the information I have. And the information I have says Slenderman's winning the majority of this fight. But again, let me know if you think different. If you do, that's completely cool. I have no issue being wrong on this fight. Truth be told, I don't have an issue being wrong on any fight. Just, I like people to try to argue like responsible and respectful adults. But I know that's impossible with the internet. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy. I'll be back, well, tomorrow with another Who Would Win. I'm going to record it for today. Like, comment, share, subscribe. I Who Would Win, Star Wars, Superhero Magic, anything I do in the channel, put in the comments below. Let me know. I'll get to it at some point. This week will be The Foreigner, so keep your eyes out for that. Thanks for watching. See you next time, folks.